Well, thank you for joining us. Happy Monday to you. I know that's a conundrum. I'm Marlon Bowling, your tour guide to the ag commodities, and we're getting set for a full trading week here, and it could be an adventurous week as we get deeper into planting season this year, and just wonder what kind of planting progress we actually made over the weekend. I bet it was big, and we'll get an update from USDA later on this afternoon for a guess of how much planting progress was made on corn and soybeans as of yesterday. We'll get that at 3 p.m. Central Time later on this afternoon, so we can talk about it tomorrow. In the meantime, I want to welcome aboard Brian Hoops, the president of Midwest Market Solutions, and of course he hails from Springfield, Missouri. All right, Brian, a lot of news overnight, and wanted to visit with you about this. It was mainly related to Ukrainian grain and the ability or inability to ship Ukrainian grain. Now, what I heard overnight was the fact that, let me check the wire here. Okay, Hungary and Poland said that they want to ban imports of Ukrainian grain. Now, in other words, they have been used as transit countries, correct, for Ukrainian grain to get out of Ukraine and get to the rest of the world, right? They ship through Black Sea ports, but also through Poland and through Hungary, from what I understand. And they say that's suppressing their local farmers' prices, and they say no more of that. They had too much pressure from the farmers protesting that, I understand. But now you can add to the list, Slovakia says they're going to ban imports, put that in air quotes, of Ukrainian grain, and now they say Bulgaria is thinking about adding to that list as well. So that would mean the inability to get grain out of Ukraine to the world market. You would think that would be a very bullish thing, but yet for a good share of last night, we had the wheat market going sharply lower, especially in Kansas City. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Now, I did hear that the Commitment of Traders report showed the large funds are still net short on wheat. Is that the problem here, or what's going on anyway?
Good morning, Marlon. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack over the weekend as far as news goes. There was some rain in parts of central and eastern Kansas that seemingly weighed on the hard red wheat belt countries and prices, but we did see some intermarket spread trade, kind of an easing on that Chicago-Kansas City wheat spread. Now, if the U.S. is going to benefit from some of these countries blockading or not allowing Ukraine to ship grain through them, it will be the Chicago wheat, the soft red wheat, that probably is the most of the beneficiary in that respect. Now, the fact that they are not allowing grains to be shipped, I think, is partially because of what the reason that they gave, that the farmers' basis levels are getting hurt, but there's probably also some political pressure that they fear an attack by Russia, or they fear that they would be invaded by Russia, similar to what has happened to Ukraine. And so this is a way to kind of force Ukraine shipments one direction out of the country, and it's certainly going to limit or impact how much grain they're able to ship. Now, a year ago, if we had this type of news, we probably would have been sharply higher on heavy fund short covering. We're not trading that right now. We never really did see much in the way of any boost of any U.S. exports last year, and our export pace remains very slow. So traders really not believing that we're going to see a big uptick in U.S. exports because of this news. Our news is our bullishness is going to have to come, I think, from drought-like conditions, supply issues being threatened, and that would force the funds out of their short positions that they are currently holding.
Well, anyway, overnight, as we came across the finish line here on the grain trade this morning, after Globex was closing up, and by the way, we did not have any overnight export sales. It looked like we had corn basically flat overnight. Soybeans did firm up a little bit on the nearby contracts. They were up about 6 cents on the nearby May. The wheat in Chicago actually came back to go on the plus side by about 3 cents. Kansas City was still down about 6 this morning. And so we'll see how they want to open up. We're getting all kinds of mixed signals because, real honestly, we have analysts that don't know what to do with all that news over the weekend, and we'll try and sort it out here in a little bit after the markets open. In the meantime, we'll come back and take a break. We'll talk about our livestock trade and what happened last week right after this. Well, we're back talking with Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. Hope you had a good weekend out there. And Brian, as we headed across the finish line last week, I wanted to get your take on that livestock trade that took place. From what I understand, boy, that cattle market was higher again out in the country. Is that true?
Absolutely. It was on fire. Now, I don't expect we'll see that type of a surge in cash markets again this week, but we are called at least steady to firmer, and the feedlot's probably holding out for $2-3 gains to start the week anyway. We jumped $10 on a dress basis and at least $5 in the Southern Plains on a live basis. So futures, April futures closed at 174.75. That's very much in line with the 175 trade that we saw late last week. So futures did correct a little bit late in the week to close in that area, in line with the cash markets, and certainly going to take their direction from that cash trade once again. I think we're going to be much more of a consolidation type week this week. We've surged about $17 in the cash markets in the last 2 weeks on a dress basis, and numbers are going to be very tight, especially in the north area. Now, they may loosen up just a little bit in the Southern Plains, but we're in a stretch here where we're going to continue to see very tight numbers. It's just a matter of where this cash trade wants to go based off of our demand, I think, because those numbers really aren't going to change anytime soon. We have a cattle on feed report Friday afternoon that's going to solidify some very tight on-feed numbers, and the fact that we're not putting a lot of cattle in feed placements numbers will be down from a year ago once again.
Let's take a look at that livestock summary then, just to kind of recap where we ended up last week. And if you look at the numbers, man, it was a wide range that we worked with on the live cattle trade last week. Regardless, it was higher across that range, anywhere from 170 all the way up to 184. Of course, the majority of trade would be somewhere in between there. And then on a dress basis last week, we had everything from, 283 to 293 last week. However, when you look at the cash hog market last week, everything was lower. The cash live hogs were said to be down 51 cents. Carcass basis hogs were on average down about 30 cents per hundredweight. This would be on Friday there. The other prices on the cattle would have been the weekly range. As far as the beef cutouts go, when we had the Friday afternoon update from USDA, they were both higher again. The choice cuts, 302.62, unbelievable. We had them up $2.20 yet again. You had the selects at 283.87, and that was up 49 cents. You know that choice cut at 302.62 would compare to a week ago when it was 290.98. Wow, gained $12 in 1 week on that wholesale beef trade. That was quite a jump. Anyway, we'll see if they can keep that pace up this week. I don't know. But we'll have to keep a close eye on it. Thank you, Brian, for all the comments this morning. Good stuff.
Have a good day.
Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions here on a Monday morning.